All right, so this is the first poll of the session. So what test prep or career development support does your library provide patrons? It can look like a lot of different things beyond just collections. And so I want to get an idea of what sort of programs are available or whether you're partnering with local organizations. I think now more than ever, with people, out of work or looking for a career switch, test prep is an essential resource that we provide our patrons. It's so easy for patrons now to be able to access it through LearningExpress Library. There are so many different professional licensure exams for careers in the medical field, in real estate, in commercial driver's license exam is represented. And there's also kind of the traditional standardized exams like the GRE, the GED, the SAT, ACT, that sort of thing as well. So again, if you could respond to this question by going to menti.com and entering the code 8822798. I can submit that in the chat as well. All right, so we have 2 responses so far. So library workshops, working with the Success Center at the community college, offering test prep guides as part of our collection example TEAS guide, unsure, new to position. And we have a third response. We have NC Live and refer patrons to LearningExpress. We mostly have the databases offered through NC Live, as well as books on all the exams in our collection. I know BrainFuse and the Testing Prep Center were very helpful to patrons who needed them. Nice. GED prep and TEAS are some of our main preps. We've suggested tutor.com recently for middle and high school tutoring. Our county works with the site for all students in the county to have access. Nice. All right, so we have a mix of people who are working in community colleges. We have a few people, or one person who's new to their position. So this is a good introduction to LearningExpress Library. And then we have one person mentioning middle and high school tutoring. So the great thing about LearningExpress Library is it covers all age groups. So I'll show you some of the resources that are not just test prep materials, but are also just good for distance learning for K through 12 schools right now. All right, and then the next question that I have is, what is your experience with LearningExpress Library and PrepStep? So this is a resource that we had before a few years ago, and now we've brought it back. And so I just kind of want to get an idea of the familiarity of the group. All right, so we have about 4 people who haven't used it, 3 who have used it before. Okay, so a bit of a mix. Thank you all for participating in that. And now I'm going to switch over to my slides and talk a little bit about LearningExpress Library. Hopefully this is taking just a minute to load. All right, well, it looks like my Google Slides are being a little bit picky. So what I'm going to do is just kind of head right into the resource. And before I log in and show you what it looks like, I'm just going to talk for about a minute about what's available in the resource. So not only are there practice tests, but there are also full-length tutorials that are kind of like these mini courses on most of the major exams within the platform. There's also ebooks that are available for download and flashcards as well for reviewing certain concepts and vocabulary. And so one thing that I do want to preface before we get into the resource is before we had Testing and Education Reference Center. And in the 3 years that we had that resource, we had a lot of enhancement requests from our libraries saying, you know, I wish the real estate exams were available in there. I wish the dental assistant certification exam was in there, or the EMT and pharmacy tech exams were available. And the good thing is that LearningExpress Library has fulfilled all those enhancement requests that have been made over the years. So there are way more tests that are involved, especially the medical and professional licensure exams. And so in my slides, if you're going to access them as we go along, you'll see some of the different exams that have been listed, and I'll point them out as well. So this is what the homepage looks like. You have 2 different views that you can switch from. So right now I'm on the public library view with LearningExpress Library. I can click on College Library and that will show me PrepStep. This is available for all of our member libraries. So you have access to both. It's not an either or. And the thing about this is with the public library, it's focused on a lot of the career preparation exams. It has the school center, which is really great for tutoring, which I kind of mentioned or alluded to. There are a bunch of resources for high school equivalency exams like the GED. There's also adult core skills, which involves some adult basic education. It's good for people who may have been out of the school environment for a while and are looking to review certain kind of basic education skills. The citizenship test is also available in that center. And there's also a bunch of materials available in Spanish. So the GED is available in Spanish, the citizenship test is available in Spanish, and a few other things as well. And so you can navigate by just clicking on a center, and that'll take you to the tests that are available within that topic. You can also navigate in PrepStep in that way as well. In PrepStep, you're going to have a lot more curriculum-based materials for the community college environment, like math and science and English skills. You have some of those placement tests that are important for community colleges in order to place new students in different math classes and English classes based on their skill sets. And you also have the grad school admissions exams and the ACT, SAT test prep as well, and some basic computer skills that are included. For now, we're just going to focus on LearningExpress Library, and then I'll show you what's in PrepStep. Personally, I like to sign in so I have a better idea of what's available. The reason that you need an account is because otherwise none of your progress would be saved in the platform. It's a way that you're able to keep track of all the tests that you've started, all the tutorials, that sort of thing. So I entered in my login information and it takes me to my center. This is your learning dashboard for the platform. You can see all the tests that I've started, all the tutorials, all the ebooks, computer courses, articles, flashcards. I can also see any schools or scholarships that I've saved and save my searches within this as well. So it's really detailed and it gives you that full view of anything that you've started. You don't have to remember from session to session. It does it for you. You can also download my center as a CSV file. That might be good. In the community college environment, if you're working with the Success Center or if it's part of a class potentially, and you want to give some sort of record to the instructor. And so with the centers, I honestly prefer to use the toolbar up at the top left corner, because then that allows me to see exactly what exams are available in each center. So with the career preparation, I can see air traffic controller exam, allied health and social worker, civil service, commercial driver's license, cosmetology. With the high school equivalency, I see the GED, some basic skills preparation, the GED in Spanish. Prepare for College has ACT, SAT, PSAT, TOEFL, college placement tests, anything you could think of. The school center is amazing. And I think it's something that doesn't really go referenced because typically we see this as a resource that's just for test prep. And so I'm going to click on School Center Elementary School and show you, if you're a parent right now helping with homeschooling, this might be something that interests you. Basically what these are short practice sets for different skills. So as somebody who, I was a special education teacher before I got into libraries, and these are the sort of thing that I would have loved to share with students in terms of kind of building up their skills, trying to get them on grade level with certain concepts, and really pinpointing areas that they might be struggling with. And so with elementary, I can click on measurement and data practice, and I have this grade 4 data practice set. And then I can start test. I can also print anything out later. And the thing about this is whenever you start one of these practice sets or a test, it gives you an about this test page. And what this offers is just details on how many questions, the test time. You can choose your test mode. So you can either finish and see your answers after, or see your answers as you go. I'm going to click Start Test. And then I'm going to enter in some responses. You can see it's timed, but it's not enforced with a practice set. I can flag questions for later. And the way that you navigate from question to question is using these arrows in the top left corner, previous and next. And you can also, I'm going to scroll through, answer some questions, flag things for later, just to give you an idea. You can also navigate by clicking Jump to a Question. And that allows you to see anything that you've completed, anything that you've flagged. And it also allows you to navigate without the previous and next to jump to a part of the practice set or the test. So if I click 14, it takes me to the last question. And I have a couple of options for saving. So I can close without saving and just clear it, and it won't show up in my center later. I can click Save, and that allows me to pick up right where I left off in my center later. And then I can also score my test. Now I'm going to score my test so that you can see what the score page looks like. This gives me a full score report. I can view the answers in full detail. And I can also see a breakdown by topic. So that also allows me to see exactly what skills I might be looking to improve. So, if I were really taking this seriously, I would notice that I didn't get any questions right in the solve word problems involving area and perimeter of rectangles, and maybe kind of focus on that later. What's nice with this score report, whenever you score anything in this platform, it gives you recommendations on what skills to develop. So it recommends an ebook or a test or a tutorial that's relevant, and allows you to directly access them. So then I can click on Basic Math in 15 minutes in a day, and it just downloaded that ebook for me in a PDF on my desktop. And so that's the basics of using kind of the test interface, school center. You can also see, if you go to middle and high school, there are a couple of more subjects represented. Social studies, science. So there's biology, chemistry, earth science, tech skills. And I definitely think if you are working with any sort of K through 12, environment, or if you're at a community college and have some sort of early college program, this might be helpful to show students and let parents know about, as a lot of our students in North Carolina are having to learn from home at the moment. So now back to the test prep materials. I also want to show you what's available for some of the major tests. But before we do that, I do want to pause for any questions so far. Are we good? Feel free to send in things as they come up as well. All right, so I'm going to go to Centers and Prepare for College and click on Get Ready for the ACT Test. And what you'll see is a couple of different materials that are available. You have a full ACT prep program that gives you multiple diagnostic tests. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. And that's essentially like a full online course that you're able to have access to for free. There's prep tutorials. There's multiple practice tests. So if I click on ACT English practice test, I'll see 4 different full-length practice tests for each section. If I go back to get ready for the ACT, I can see there's also complete simulated practice tests as well. And so basically what those are just a full-length test. And so you have so much content that's available within LearningExpress Library. What I do want to show you are these tutorials. So I think these are particularly good for people who are just kind of trying to get familiar with a test, haven't done a practice test yet, and really want to think strategically about what content is represented, what are the key concepts, and how to take this test strategically. And so when I click on a tutorial, the interface looks a little bit different, but the toolbar up at the top is the same. So same navigation to centers, same navigation to My Center, help documentation, everything that you would see in the normal view. And you can scroll through using the previous and next buttons, or you can click Start Tutorial, and then you can navigate using the toolbar on the left, or the column on the left here. So I'm going to jump into a lesson. It gives me some content, some preparation and study suggestions, scoring breakdown, some tips for maximizing my time with this section, determining my reading strategy, watching the clock, and then it gives me some multiple choice questions to answer. And see, it gives me immediate feedback as well. I can also jump to different sections, and I get a summary at the end of each unit. Now, this is longer than an NC Live tutorial that might be like 10 minutes or so. This is more like 60 minutes or 90 minutes. And so if you're finding that, you know, a user's not able to finish this in one session, again, that's okay. You can click save and finish later. And then that's going to bring me to My Center again. So it shows me all the tutorials that I've started. I'm going to click on the My Center and then get that full view again. Now with this, I can delete anything. So maybe I'm done with the test and I don't need those materials anymore, or I don't need to see my scores. I can just click delete and then it erases it. All right, so that's how you would navigate a tutorial. I do want to show you more of those career and licensure exams as well. So I'm going to click on Allied Health and Social Worker so you get an idea of what's available in that. So I see I have dental assistant, medical assistant, pharmacy tech, PA, surgical tech, vet tech. There's a mix of practice books and ebooks for certain exams. Some of the more major ones have more materials like tutorials and some don't. And so what I'm going to do is I'll go to pharmacy tech, and then I'm going to click on the practice test so you can see exactly what that looks like. So now I'm going to click Start Test. And that allows me to see that same About This test page, full test time, the number of questions, as well as that test mode. So with an official test, you have a simulation mode where the test stops when the timer is up, that practice, and then the learner mode. And so for me, I'm going to click on simulation. I'll click Start Test. And I'm going to put in some answers. Now, the thing with a much longer test that has 100 questions like this one is you may want to jump to different sections more easily and not just go through it chronologically. So what you can do is if you click on this gray box, you should be able to scroll through this list and jump to any one of these 100 questions. So if I click on 76, it takes me to 76. And I can jump to a question and go back. And let's say I want to go to question 30. Now I'm at question 30. And so that's really convenient because it gives you that view of anything that's been completed, any question that's been flagged at any point. And you're able to navigate more efficiently through the test. What I'm going to do is, let's see, I'll jump through and I'll answer a couple more questions just to give you an idea. And the thing with this is the testing interface is smart. And so if I'm about to score my test, it lets me know, what questions I have unanswered, which ones I have flagged for review, and gives me this warning before I submit my score. And so then I can go back and navigate to 22 and really kind of make sure that I've answered everything thoroughly. I'm going to score my test. And again, everything looks the same. I have the same type of score breakdown. I have recommendations for an ebook and 2 other practice tests. And I can go through and view my answers in full. I see everything that I wasn't able to complete. And I can go through each answer in the exam. Now that I've had it scored, I see why, a certain choice is correct versus incorrect. And I see the exact subtopic, topic, task statement, supporting knowledge, all these, concepts that are used to categorize this standardized test, and be very strategic about reviewing them accordingly. Any questions about the score report, about the practice tests so far? All right, well, if there's no questions, I'll keep it moving. I do want to highlight the basic computer skills. So this might be something that is relevant for patrons who are potentially retirees who may not be fully familiar with having to use computers and tablets and different devices before, and now they're having to use them all the time. And so these give you some basics about using a computer, using the internet, Microsoft Office, and they're pretty detailed video tutorials. Oof. And so I can click on Microsoft Excel, start tutorial, and now I have a full 90-minute tutorial on Excel.
Hello, and welcome to this Microsoft Office 2019 course to teach you how to use the Excel spreadsheet.
It's broken up into short videos. And you can see if you click on table of contents.
Excel Office 2019.
So you can see the table of contents once you click on it, each individual chapter in this video tutorial. And then navigate accordingly, and you have a course summary at the end. And so now what I want to do is show you a little bit of PrepStep. So the thing too is one of the main ways that you can navigate to content is also just by entering in a search term. And so let's say I just want to put in GED, and it gives me all the GED review that's available in PrepStep. So I can download different ebooks and just click on them. And now they're all downloading to my desktop. I've got flashcards that I can open. So this is what the flashcards look like. And so it's giving me a question: shortage, when a demand for a good or service is greater than that which is produced, signs number with a positive or negative sign in front of it, simile, etc. And then I can rate them as easy or difficult so that certain questions come up at the top of the deck sooner than others. And then this allows me to just flip the flashcard. So that's another study tool that you can use to review. Same interface, so same toolbar up at the top to navigate to different centers. The college success skills are a little different. And so it's saving. And then if I go to organizational strategies and college success, these offer some short tutorials on multitasking, time management, organization. And they look just like the tutorials in LearningExpress. These might be a little bit shorter than a traditional exam tutorial in LearningExpress Library. But it gives you some good stuff about time management, some skills to acquire, some tips, and you have a post-test at the end. And then there's also the same career prep. And so let's say I click on EMS. And now I'm navigating to the professional licensure exam. So there's a lot of overlap in LearningExpress Library and PrepStep. And now I see EMT, paramedic, firefighter. And so that's kind of the basics of how to navigate the platform. What I do want to show in the time that we have are some of the documentation that's particularly helpful for us being library workers on the other end, helping patrons. And so highly recommend checking out the help section. There's a great FAQ page if you have patrons coming to the desk or calling in or emailing about, why do I need an account for this resource? It gives you some sample text that you can use. It shows you how to register. Forgot your username. So It shows you how to reset certain things, how to change things later. It's just kind of identifying certain problems and helping you resolve them quickly. How do I access certain completed tests? If you have patrons that are overwhelmed by this resource and want kind of a set of videos to start off with, I would recommend showing them the video guides. These are full videos from the platform on how to register as a new user, how to take a tutorial, how to take a test, My Center, all the main components of the platform. And so this is something that I definitely let them know about. There's also keyboard shortcut compatibility with this resource. And so if you have patrons who use keyboard shortcuts for accessibility, it's something that you might want to print out or let them know about as well. Some third-party components for audio control, NVDA shortcuts for the NVDA screen reader, reading text, all this detail, which is great. And so another thing to keep in mind is if you scroll down to the bottom of any page on LearningExpress Library, there's this administrators and librarians link. And so this allows you to navigate to more detailed help guides, their quick start guide in English and both in Spanish, and to mark records instructions. It also pushes you to the EBSCO site for additional materials like promotional materials as well. So what I'm going to do is click on help guides and show you what EBSCO has to offer for that. So you can see PrepStep and LearningExpress LMS integration guide. So if you're at a community college that's using Moodle or some sort of LMS, this is how you can navigate, or with Canvas or Blackboard. And so these are the implementation guides that you can use. And so that's great for distance learning right now, making sure that it's just right in the LMS for students and faculty. There's also, let's see if we scroll through, I'll show you some of the content that's available for promotion. All right. So they have LearningExpress Library Promotion Kit, PrepStep for community colleges, PrepStep for college and library or college and universities, and PrepStep for high schools. They load it and this page keeps going and going. Suggested text for promoting LearningExpress Library Centers and different tutorials as well. And so if I click on a promotion kit, a lot of these are the same. They have logos and social media, GIFs and graphics and product buttons and handouts for the GED in English and Spanish. And you can just download them. They're all available to you to print out. For patrons, I definitely recommend the Creating Direct Links page. This shows you exactly how to create a direct link to a center. So if you want to include that in a LibGuide or on your library's website, this shows you how to set that up. And the custom authentication token, we have that information. And so you can just kind of reach out to us if you need that, and we'll get you set up so that you're able to create direct links. All right, so this is what EBSCO has on their end. And what I want to show you as well are some of the resources that we've put together to assist with learning about the new resources. But before we get into our promotional materials, I have one last question for you all. So I know that's a lot to throw at you, but if you could share either in Mentimeter or in chat, what ideas do you have for using this resource at your library? Or what's something that you kind of learned about that you're like, oh, I need to send to an instructor that I'm working with, or our adult services coordinator would love this. I just very much like to hear those in the moment reactions. All right, Julia's sharing. I'm super excited about the kids skill building and the basic computer skills tutorials. Yeah, I think, parents aren't expected to be teachers. They're not expected to be experts in pedagogy and skill building and targeting those really important math and English skills that students should be building right now. And so I definitely want to let our parents in North Carolina, let them know that this is available. They're not having to pay for tutoring fees, right? And the basic computer skills tutorials are great. Yeah, definitely use them when you're in your programming, in your computer classes, everything. Yeah, Jennifer, a really good point. I'd like to work with our county schools to make sure teachers are sharing these resources. Free tutors rock. Yeah. In the last year, I've done a bunch of NC Live resources for teachers webinars. I have recordings of those that I could share. I also plan to host more of those in the next couple of months, and especially over the summer as teachers have time to plan for the school year in full. We deal with adult high school classes and ESL classes a lot, and the prep materials available will be helpful. Absolutely. Good to provide an extra resource for our GED and dental students. Yeah, I think in the community college environment, there's so many students that are interested in different careers in healthcare. And this resource is great for letting them prepare, for free. All right. Well, now what I want to do is, for some reason, these slides are giving me grief. But I do want to show you some of the links for later on. All right, well, it looks like it's not going to let me load. Thankfully, I downloaded a PowerPoint version in case this was going to happen. So I'm going to show you that right now. All right, there we go. So you should be able to see my slides in PowerPoint right now. Let's see, play from the start. This is just some of the stuff that we covered. Here's all the resources that I showed you in LearningExpress and PrepStep that are vendor created. Here's just some articles about career and test prep and how libraries are using that right now in the pandemic to support patrons remotely or in person. And I think it's just nice to be able to shout out all the hard work that you're all doing right now and to know that you're appreciated for that. And here's also some resources for later. So we have a full promotional materials LibGuide where we've created graphics, we host vendor created graphics, and we also have included materials that libraries have made. And so you're welcome to navigate to that LibGuide and access some of those materials for later. I don't want to get too into the weeds on that. I just want to let you know that it's available. There's also our tutorials, which are good for kind of low stakes, 10 minutes, getting familiar with the resource real quick. We also have webinar recordings. For not only our NC Live resources, but also our leadership webinars that we've hosted and skills-based webinars. So if you go to nclive.org/instruction/calendar, you can access all of this. So effective communication, leading from the middle. We had a really popular webinar on decolonizing subject headings and collections for catalogers and tech services folks. It's really great to kind of get familiar with that topic. We also have data literacy. That was a session that was led by a public librarian and an academic librarian to talk about how we can support patrons with this skill set. There's also inclusive online instruction, best practices for marketing and social media, just a lot of stuff that's available there that I want to let you know about. This is also where you'll find any upcoming training opportunities that we have. So we host our own, but we're also part of this alliance that's called the Professional Development Alliance. And it's basically us and 8 other consortia around the country. And they offer their professional development opportunities for us to access for free. And so we're hosting a session called Python for Librarians next week. We also have a session from the PDA on virtual and augmented reality and how to design virtual and augmented reality for educational purposes. There's a project management training that Minitex, the Minnesota Library Consortia, is hosting. That's really great. I highly recommend it. And they have recordings for the previous sessions available. But that's just kind of some of the stuff that we offer that I do want to let you know about. And this is also where you'll be able to find any future trainings that we offer, the transparent language sessions that Lauren's hosting, as well as our stuff. All right. The last thing that I do want to show before we head out is our contact information. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. We have an Instagram as well. Sign up for our listservs. One thing I didn't mention is we just launched a new marketing newsletter that has a bunch of tips for promotion. It highlights all the hard work that our member libraries are doing with different promotional campaigns that they've started on their campuses or in their communities. And if you have any issues with our resources, email help@NC Live. It'll get redirected to our inboxes and we'll help you respond to any issues that come up or patron issues. And email me, devon@nclive.org. If you have any questions, if you want to host a staff training, I always do customized trainings as well for staff development. Or if you just have questions about instruction or programming in general. All right, with that, let me know if you have any questions now. All right. Awesome. Glad it was super informative, Barbara. Unfortunately, on the downloaded version of this, it didn't include a slide about some of the upcoming sessions that we have, but definitely take a look at our training calendar for those. And feel free to head out. I don't want to take up any more of your time. And I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Keep an eye out on Monday for that follow-up email.